The All-Star break is over. The Marlins hope to pick up where they left off. Dan Straley takes the mound against the Rays as round 2 of the Citrus Series begins tonight.
Dale, tira y saca un rolling grande por tercera, viene para home, el hombre se enreda, el tiro es malo, anota la carrera. Victoria para los Marlins.
Marlins, Rays, next on Fox Sports Florida. Well, the boys of summer are back. The All-Star break is behind us, so here we come. Second half of the baseball season as the Citrus Series continues for round 2 here at the Trop in St. Pete. It's the Marlins and the Rays kicking off the second half of the 2018 season. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, glad that you're with us. Hope you enjoyed the break. I know we did, but now it's time for baseball, and the Marlins hope to pick up right where they left off. They've been playing some great baseball leading up to the break and led by many, but perhaps most notably by All-Star JT Realmuto.
Yeah, no doubt. Showed well at the All-Star game. But, you know, some teams in baseball, the All-Star break just shows up at the wrong time. I would contend that the Marlins might be that team. One of the most impressive wins last Sunday in taking 2 of 3 from the Philadelphia Phillies. So, yeah, that's the story moving forward, is that this team's been playing great baseball. We get past these, everybody enjoy their 4 days, but get past it and pick up where you left off.
Yeah, that might be one of the tough things to do. Somebody who's used to having 4 days off in between, though, is Dan Straley, right? He's a starting pitcher. He goes once every 5 days. Maybe a little bit extended break for him, but he is a guy who has also been rolling in July.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And again, you're hoping that Dan continues on the march that he's been on. Last 4 starts, all quality starts, giving the Marlins a team a chance to win a baseball game. You see the opponent's batting average against outstanding. His slider is back. He's using it. It's been better than ever, and you hope that's the case here in the first start of the second half.
All right, so it's Dan Straley and former Marlin Nathan Eovaldi, who is making only his 3rd home start of the year. We'll hear a little bit about JT's All-Star experience on the other side of the break as we get set for the first of 3 between the Marlins and the Rays here at the Trop. Back in a moment. Marlins and the Rays. The All-Star break is over, and what a break it was for JT Realmuto. Downstairs to Kelly Sacco.
That's right, Paul. On Tuesday, JT Realmuto represented the Marlins and played in his first career All-Star game. Earlier today, he said it was an experience he'll never forget.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, it was a dream come true, just getting to be there with those players and, being a part of, the best players in the world really was something that I'll definitely cherish for the rest of my life.
What was that moment like when you walked into the clubhouse and you saw all those jerseys surrounding yours?
It was really cool, just kind of a surreal experience that obviously you dream of as a little kid, and it was fun for me to get to fulfill that.
And you got to experience that with your wife and your newborn daughter. How did that make it that much more special?
That was awesome. Just getting to have them there for the experience was something that means a lot to me. We had a little tough time getting there, but once we got there, it was all smooth and great, and just getting to enjoy that with my daughter, my wife, was phenomenal.
There are so many things that go on besides just the game. What was the biggest highlight for you?
Just really getting to spend that time with my family. I had my parents there. They got to enjoy it. My brother, my sister. I have 4 nephews that got to be there. My brother-in-law. So I had a lot of family there that got to experience it with me, and just getting to see my nephews have so much fun on the ball field. And they look up to all these players, obviously. So getting to see them experience that was a lot of fun.
Coming up, JT and the Marlins take on the Rays in round 2 of the 2018 Citrus Series. It's Miami and Tampa Bay from the Trop, next on Fox Sports Florida.
By Southwest Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason, who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today. And by Toyota, let's go places. A little rain earlier this afternoon, but fortunately inside here at the Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. Paul Severino, Todd Hollingsworth, and Kelly Sacco, glad that you are with us. So just about set to start the second half of the year. Here is the batting order presented to you by Southwest. Of course, there is a DH in an American League city. That today is Justin Bohr, but at the top it's Derek Dietrich, Brian Anderson, who really had an amazing first half for the Marlins. More numbers for him as we roll along, and JT Realmuto, all 3 of those first guys due up here in the first inning against Nathan Eovaldi, who gets the ball for the Rays here, and we figure he'll go more than the requisite one or two that the Rays have been using for their starters, more of a traditional starting pitcher. And we are underway as he makes start number 10.
Right. Eovaldi certainly gives evidence that he is going to attempt to go longer in his starts, although his last start, he only went 2 2/3 innings, 8 earned runs against the Twins. That's right, before the All-Star break, July 13th. So that's what Eovaldi's coming off of. He's been a little inconsistent here in the first half. Of course, that's sometimes the case with guys who are recovering from Tommy John. This is just his 10th start of the 2018 season. 4.59 ERA.
And he strikes out Dietrich on 3 pitches. 1 away.
All right, let's go ahead and give you the AutoNation scouting report. Hot and cold. As I just mentioned, he's got 4 starts where he's given up 4 earned runs or more. But you pair that with the fact that he's had 3 starts of 6 innings and 1 hit or less. Yeah, that tells you what Eovaldi brings to the table. Now, he brings the heat. You just saw it. One of the highest average fastball velocities in the game at 97.5. Also throws a lot of cutters. That kind of sits in there at 93. In fact, his season high of 33 was against the Marlins a few starts ago. There's a little bit of a righty advantage, and I talk about that because he's generally very good against the right-handed hitters. But when the Marlins faced him a couple of weeks ago, they had 8 hits, all coming from their right-handed hitters against Eovaldi.
Brian Anderson down the right field line and into the seat. So after striking out Dietrich on 3 pitches, Eovaldi is ahead of Anderson, 0-2. Now those are the season numbers for Brian Anderson, but an amazing first half for him. Of course, as we talked about leading up to the All-Star break, definitely in the discussion for National League Rookie of the Year. He's on pace for 180 hits this season, which would be the second most by a National League rookie since 2010, behind Corey Seager in 2016, who had 193.
I'll tell you what, he picked up some momentum, had a fantastic homestand just before the break, hit 370 on that homestand, couple of home runs, 5 RBIs. If you want to get ready for the second half, I think Eovaldi's a good guy to go up against. If 99 doesn't get your attention, nothing will.
That will snap you out of any sort of 4-day off doldrums.
That's exactly right.
Well, a couple of strikeouts here in the first inning, and there are 2 away.
All right, let's go ahead and get you the Rays defensively for this evening's ball game. Smith's going to get the start in left. Kiermaier in center. Gomez in right. Duffy, Robertson, Wendell, Bowers, Sucre behind the plate, only making his 12th start here at the Trop behind the plate, so he's not done a whole lot of catching, although he will be doing a lot more with Ramos on the disabled list.
Here's JT Realmuto. That one fouled back to the screen. JT 3 for 12 with a home run and 3 RBIs against Kevin Cash's Tampa Bay Rays this year. 10-7 in previous Citrus series is Kevin Cash.
That home run is against Eovaldi, came in the 5th inning. July 2nd start. That start at Marlins Park. Eovaldi, 6 innings, 8 hits, couple of earned runs. JT got him on a cut fastball. There you go. Saw Eovaldi pop, kind of bounced. He knew JT got it. That was home run number 11 of the season for Eovaldi. Quality start that afternoon, that evening.
That was the game that the Marlins ended up walking off on a Yadiel Rivera infield single. 6 walk-off wins in the first half for the Marlins. Very exciting. It certainly had its exciting moments, the first half did. You can sit here and look at the record, and that's all well and good, but keep in mind 21-18 in the last 39 games with a +2 run differential for this Marlins club. They started the season 5-17, but have, you know, slowly but surely kind of righted the ship a little bit. Yes, some ups and downs along the way, but pretty consistent baseball.
5-5 in their last 10, 15-15 in their last 30. So right around that 500 mark.
Yeah, pretty consistent, no doubt about it. Eovaldi pounding the strike zone early. 14 pitches, 11 strikes. He is really bringing the heat. All right, they fared well in interleague play, 5-5.
Two balls and two strikes to JT, and a line drive base hit over the leap of Bowers at first base. And Real Muto does it again. Now a 5-game hit streak against the Rays with the 2-out single.
Yeah, that's a little mono. He saw a lot of upper 90s fastballs, including this one. This one at the belt, lines it into right. That's a pretty good example of a major league hitter getting more and more comfortable with the velocity. The more pitches, you can almost tell that rhythm was starting to build with JT right there as he lines one into right.
Boy, how about the at-bat that he had in the All-Star game?
My goodness.
Drew a couple of walks, did JT?
I'll tell you, I said that was a very impressive at bat. I know it kind of gets lost in the 10 home runs. I believe, wasn't that the total number of home runs hit in that game?
I think they just hit 2 more since we've been on the air, yeah.
But that at bat against Charlie Morton, my goodness. Charlie threw just about everything he had in his lunch pail at him, and he defended. Ended up 10 or 11 pitch walk that first time up.
Well, speaking of walks, here is Justin Bour, 62 of them, ranking 4th in the National League. Chases one up and out of the zone, a ball and 2 strikes.
Some of that inconsistency that I mentioned with Eovaldi really is how you have to approach him. You're going to see high-end velocity and some good pitches, but at times he's going to make mistakes out over the plate. Got to be ready for him.
96 upstairs. 3 strikeouts in the first inning for Eovaldi. To the bottom of the first. To Nathan Eovaldi in the first inning. Now we'll see what Dan Straley has against this Rays lineup, presented to you by Southwest. Kevin Kiermaier at the top, hitting just 179 on the season. Maybe the bat starting to come to life the last couple of weeks. Then it's former Marlin Danny Echeverria and Jake Bowers, who has been on a tear as of late. And one guy that we didn't see much of, or maybe any of, Ji-Man Choi, who came over in the deal with the Milwaukee Brewers for Brad Miller month or so ago. All up against Dan Straley today, who has been pitching very well in the month of July. Overall, it's his 15th start with a 4.29 ERA.
Yeah, you can almost kind of time this out. I don't know if it's just by coincidence. You go back to when Dan was ejected in San Francisco. Remember that start? Foul ball off to the left side. But since that day, he's made 4 starts, all quality starts. He's been great. 3.20 ERA during that time. Not faced the Rays here in 2018. 3.67 ERA on the road. See those numbers in his last 4 starts. Great stuff. And one big thing that's really stood out to me, I know that we talk fastball command. We always seem to start there with everybody. But for Dan, the slider, he's throwing it 39% of the time. That's actually up 9% than what he was using it earlier this year. And that command has been outstanding. Get these numbers, 10 of the 21 strikeouts in those 4 starts on the slider, 143 batting average against, 171 slugging percentage against. Outstanding stuff.
It's inside to Kiermaier. Noted the 179 average on the year, but hitting 262, 6 RBIs his last 9 games. A guy who, when this offense is clicking, he is a spark plug of it. Right on cue, a base hit up the middle. And a hustle double to begin the night for the Rays. We could talk for days about his defense, but also his speed, as he didn't take anything for granted out of the box.
Yeah, one thing that you pick up on here at the Trop is that if you can exploit the gaps and you're thinking the extra base, you can a lot of times take that extra base. Watch Kiermaier out of the box. I mean, he's coming out like like he's stealing something. He's running right now. Get going. He is thinking double all the way. So that puts the pressure on the Marlins defensively. You've got to find a way to respond. That was all Kiermaier.
So already a runner in scoring position for the Rays as the Danny Echeverria digs in. And Echeverria down the right field line and foul. Blowing into Echeverria. 4 doubles, a home run, 7 RBIs, and 5 walks in 19 games since coming off the disabled list. It was 6 for 15 in the series against the Minnesota Twins. What a wild series that was. It was a 4-game series that the Rays played in Minnesota before the All-Star break. First game, nothing too special, I suppose. A 5-1 Minnesota win. Game 2, Minnesota won 11-8. But Tampa Bay trailed 8-1 after 3. Got it all the way back to 8-7 before Minnesota scored some late runs to blow it open. Blocked by JT at the plate. And in Game 3, Tampa Bay led 4-1 in the 4th inning. Minnesota led 6-4 in the 6th inning, but the Rays scored 5 runs in the 7th, 5 in the 8th, and 5 in the 9th, won 19-6. And then in Game 4, everybody's gearing up for the All-Star break. And who's commercial flights going here, there, whatever way? Well, Tampa Bay tied it in the 9th inning at 7, and then Brian Dozier a walk-off grand slam. So a rather eventful series before the break. And right out of the break, Danny Echeverria with a base hit through the left side to score Kiermaier. They get a check over at Echeverria, who is back after the RBI single, 1-0 Rays.
I'll tell you what, we've seen some urgency on the bases already from the Rays. They are playing like they have played all first half at home. 26-17 record. They're a different animal. Here at Tropicana Field. Kiermaier did not hesitate around third base. Got the go sign. Etch was thinking too if the cut didn't go right.
That'll bring up Jake Bowers. They get a check on Echeverria over at first.
Rays 14-1 in their last 15 games at Tropicana Field.
You know, it was something that we talked about when these two teams played a few weeks ago, that they're sort of mirror images of one another in that sense, and certainly we know that the Marlins seem to be able to play their style of game at home, and whatever style the Rays have, you said 14-1 in their last 15, it's been working here.
Well, and I think that's where the optimism lies. And, you know, you hear, you know, a lot of conversation around town about, you know, the Rays and maybe a little bit of a playoff push here. They're 49-47. I mean, they're in the American League East. They're chasing the Yankees and Red Sox by 18 games. I mean, that's a huge number. The Marlins are actually closer to first. The point being is you see the strike three right there, a nice changeup. Dan Straley, that they've got a chance to do something, but they're going to have to prove it here in the next couple of weeks, so they're probably going to be sellers at the deadline. Again, there's still that little bit of maybe we'll add a guy or two and see if we can't push hard enough for that second wild card spot, because that's about all they've got a shot at. They're 8 games behind, 8.5 games behind at the start of play tonight, the Seattle Mariners, for that second wild card spot. You see the standings of the American League East. But they have, I mean, they've been a beast here at home, and here's the deal. 15 of their next 19 games are here at Tropicana Field, so that 14-1's got to keep going. I'll tell you right now, if Kiermaier's any example of what they're trying to do here at home, well, the opposition better be ready, because he came out of the gates looking for extra.
And there for a called strike to Daniel Robertson, with 1 on, 1 out, and 1 in here in the first inning. Well, it's funny. I mean, you look at the standings in the American League, and really across the board, I'm certainly not telling anyone to turn their televisions off for the second half of the season, but it seems like everything's already been pretty much locked up, at least just in terms of who's going to make it to October. There's going to be some seeding things going on, but my goodness.
Well, even in the American League, I'm talking about the second wild card spot, and again, it's a reach. I told you, you know, in between the Rays and the Mariners at 8.5 games is the Oakland A's. There you go. There's some wild card for you. You got the A's in there. But the Yankees and Boston have just been pounding people all over the place, and you got all sort of action going on out west, but you know, that wild card race really falls off. I mean, Tampa Bay is in the position that they're in. They're 8.5 games behind, and you got 9. You got the Angels at 9. Not that those numbers, you can knock them down, but again, in reality, you're talking about teams that have played at a high level already. So when you look at 8.5, and I kind of learned this early in my career, kind of how we used to always talk about it, 8.5 is more like 12 or 14.
Yeah.
Because you're expecting a team to play at least the level that they're not, or that they're at, meaning if they're playing 500 ball, you got to play that much better.
Short, 1-2. Nice job to get out of the inning with the 6-4-3 double play, but the Rays get a run after a hustle up before Kiermaier. 1-0. Don Mattingly's Marlins as we head to the top of the second inning. In the first game out of the break, Starlin Castro to lead things off, then Martin Prado and JT Riddle against Nathan Eovaldi, who had 3 strikeouts in the first inning with a JT Realmuto single mixed in there, but 3 Ks already. And first pitch swinging for Castro into the seats and out of play.
Well, Starlin had one heck of a day. I think back to Eovaldi's start in Miami. In fact, went 3 for 3 against him. You pair that with .330 batting average leading off an inning. You see the numbers against Eovaldi in his career. You like Starlin Castro's chances. And that first at bat's never an easy one. Back from the break, kind of getting back into the swing of thing, gearing back up again, and kind of getting your focus back on the field.
That one misses upstairs. 96 from Eovaldi, a ball and 2 strikes. Well, everybody's different when it comes to the All-Star break. You know, how much baseball do you play? Do you do any? Do you hit? Do you work out? What do you do? Well, Starlin Castro serves one the other way, a leadoff single in the second inning. What did you do during breaks when you were playing? Did you try to hit? Did you try to run? Did you try to do it? Or did you shut it down completely?
It would always depend on what the story was. Now, if I didn't have the first half I wanted, there's a good chance that I was probably working out, trying to get my swing right or get my timing moving and gearing up for a great second half. If things had gone smoothly, I was probably relaxing and taking it easy. I became a husband and a father later in my career. Obviously, a lot of that time became much more family oriented. Always great to reintroduce yourself to your family.
Yeah.
Your family that hasn't seen you for three months, basically.
Well, see, I already had a beard when I left, so it wasn't like, you have a beard now. You look like a completely different person.
That's right. We talk about this all the time, and for the players, it's no different. Getting in and getting out is very difficult to do. Transition's not an easy thing for these players.
Prado with a fly ball out to right field. And Carlos Gomez there for out number 1.
Thursday, July 26th, powered by South Florida Ford. You're going to have the fantasy auction. Proceeds benefit the Marlins Foundation. Visit marlins.com/fantasy for more information. This can be an awful lot of fun. The fantasy auction, always a great time.
There are some amazing packages that you can bid on. We'll get into that in just a second. First, here's JT Riddle. 1 on 1 out in inning number 2 against Eovaldi as he takes a fastball outside for ball 1. Riddle 4 for 14, a home run, 2 RBIs in the series against the Rays. Of course, there was that getaway afternoon game. He accounted for all 3 of the runs in a 3-0 victory. So with the fantasy auction, there is a road trip with the Marlins. Go to Boston when the Marlins play the Red Sox. Round trip airfares included. You can have lunch with Jessica Blaylock on Wednesday. That's worth the price of admission right there. There's also a 25th anniversary package, different autographed things, whether it's baseball, jerseys, hats, whatever the case might be. And then there's also a Dominican Republic Punta Cana getaway mixed in there. So lots of different stuff. Certainly too much to truly get into and give every last detail now. But you can log on to marlins.com/fantasy. Check that out. The 13th annual Fox Sports Florida Fantasy Auction. Looking forward to that. Powered by South Florida Ford. Ball and 2 strikes to JT Riddle. Takes just a little in off the edge.
Some good discipline by JT. That's the cut fastball. As I mentioned earlier, through 33 cutters to the Marlins. The July 2nd start. Very effective pitch. He likes to go to it. Primary, secondary pitch.
And a strike 3 on Riddle, checking to see if it was on the swing or a called strike 3 or not. But either way, It is the 4th strikeout of the night for Evaldi.
Well, he tried the cutter to the inside corner, didn't get the swing and miss that he was looking for, went outside. Wrapped this one around that outside corner and gets the call. Certainly was on the pitch location, not the swing.
Garrett Cooper now takes a look at strike 1. Cooper was 4 for 16 on the homestand leading up to the All-Star break. A run scored, a double, an RBI. As many of the Marlins have been already in a 2-strike hole. Evaldi deals. This one chopped to short. Echeverria. And we are through an inning and a half here at the Trop. 1-0.
Welcome back to Tropicana Field, where the Marlins trail the Rays 1-0 in the bottom of the second. Well, once the season starts, consecutive days off are pretty much non-existent. So when the All-Star comes around, players like to spend that in different ways. Some of the guys go back home, but Dan Straley decided him and his family were to go up to Orlando and spend it at Animal Kingdom. Dan loves being a dad. Spending time with his family is very important to him. You see him there with his son Jax and his wife. The players weren't the only ones who got a few days off to themselves. We too got a few days off. So Paul, Holly, what were you two up to these past few days?
Well, Kelly, you know, I spent a lot of time with my family, my beautiful wife Heather, my son Jackson. We hung out. We also went to go see some animals at Zoo Miami. What a day that was. Have you been there?
Has not.
When you go, the Crocodile Tunnel.
You told me about this. It's pretty sweet, huh?
The place to be. You crawl inside the tunnel. If you're lucky enough, the croc will be right there. It's got to be at least 12 feet long.
Now there's glass in between, right?
Yeah.
You're not petting gators, are you?
No. But it is funny when he kind of sees you out of the corner of his eye. He'll kind of snap.
Really?
And it didn't break the glass when I was in there, fortunately. But it does show you just how quick these animals are.
Wow.
You hang out with any crocs?
Did not. Not intentionally.
Not that you know
I
about.
mean, maybe I did, but if I did, I didn't know about it. There's a lot of fantastic downtime with the family.
Gomez with a fly ball out to left field. Dietrich a few steps in front of the track for the second out. Well, I will say that's the one of the many great things about Florida, living in Florida, is that, you know, you get to the All-Star break, sometimes you want to go see, we got 4 days off, let's go see the beach somewhere.
Right.
It's 20 minutes down the road. It's not a flight, it's this, that, or it's right there.
And it is great. Try to cram as many activities as you can into the All-Star break. It was always a challenge for us. We found that taking it easy was the easier route.
Right.
Your kids say, okay, I want to go to Disney World, I want to go to SeaWorld, you know, let's go to the beach, we're going to go snorkeling, we're going to go parasailing.
You're more tired when you get back
right.
than when you left. That one misses low to Joey Wendell. 2 balls and no strikes to the Rays' number 7 hitter and second baseman. 3 for 7 with a couple of walks against the Marlins in Miami a couple of weeks back as he takes a strike on the inside corner.
He's swinging a hot bat by definition, as many of these Rays are. Of course, they scored 35 runs in that 4-game series in Minnesota that you were talking about an inning or so ago. So many of these numbers, many guys are coming in with 3- and 4-game hitting streaks.
This one skied left side into foul ground. Prado will make the play, having to deal with the rings here at the ballpark, which we can talk about when we come back. 1-0 Rays. A closer look at the Citrus Series. The Rays lead the all-time Citrus Series by a couple of games, and 29 and 23 here at the Trop, but they have been close games. 54 of them decided by 2 runs or less. In fact, there have been 43 that have played for both teams, 22 of them pitchers, and of course Jorge Cantu, Mr. Citrus Series. I don't know if that's his actual nickname or not, but 733 combined games with the Marlins and the Rays. A ball and a strike to Cameron Maben to lead things off for the Marlins here in the 3rd. Maben and then Dietrich and Anderson, 9-1-2, due up for Miami against Nathan Eovaldi, who pours in another strike in the mid-90s. That one at 95, 1-2. Well, Cam had a season-high 3 hits on Sunday before the break, 11 for 31 over his last 10 games. And tonight, his 1,000th major league game.
That's a big deal. Congratulations to Cameron. It is a big number. Certainly one that you take a great deal of pride in. It speaks to longevity. Certainly speaks to individual success that he's had at the major league level. And Cameron has been a starter, he's been a role player, and he's done both pretty well.
And Right now, he's making the most of some increased playing time with the injury to Lewis Brinson. Figure another at least a couple of weeks for Brinson with that hip bruise. But again, credit goes to Cam. Not only the hits, but he's played some great defense as well. This one popped up into foul ground for the first out. Now that one not high enough to get caught up in the rings. Not even close, but the rings are certainly something to keep an eye on here at the Trop. There are certain ground rules that come along with them. There are 4 rings. You see that bottom ring right by that TBT sign? That's the D ring. Then there's the C ring above that, the B ring. The A ring is right above, basically right above center field, second base rather. So if it gets into the D and C ring, well, it's a home run. If it's in foul territory, it's a home run. Gets into the B ring, bounces out, ball's in play. So you got to be aware.
Yeah, aware.
Be very aware. The A and the B ring, if it hits it in fair territory, it's in play. If it gets caught up in there, well, then all bets are off. Ground ruled off.
Your knowledge of the rings is amazing. I guess that makes you Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, that's right. I am Harry Potter.
Yeah.
No, that's a different.
Yeah, it's a different.
Totally different.
I'll let that go.
That was intentional, pal.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, nice recovery.
I swear it was. I was kidding.
Well, you fooled all the people at home with that look on your face.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that I'm blushing right now, too.
Now, here's the deal. You hit a pop-up, run hard.
That's it, exactly.
How about this? How about you hit a pop-up, you run hard no matter where you play? How about that?
I like that.
There you go. That's right. No reason to not run hard. You run hard. I'll run hard enough. I'm not talking about blowing it out here. I'm just saying if you do it right, you may get yourself a hit. I've seen it. Something gets redirected off one of those rings. You could be on second or third base if you get out of the box right.
This one out to right center field off the bat of Dietrich. Back is Gomez, and that one is out of here. A solo home run to right center for Derek Dietrich to even up the game at 1.
Well, Double D picking up where he left off. Fantastic first half. Set a number of personal career bests in that first half. And tell you what, I think he picked on a changeup, 87 miles an hour and down. You know, we saw so much velocity from Eovaldi first time through, ranting and raving about 97.5 and whatnot. Let's take another look. Certainly was. That's the splitty. He calls it his change. 87. The only thing that split was the plate.
He knew it immediately. Tied at 1. Inside to Brian Anderson. Really should come as no surprise, though, as Nathan Eovaldi has allowed at least 1 homer in 6 of his 9 starts. Ball and a strike. Saw Dietrich's career numbers a moment ago. Of course, came up with the Tampa Bay Rays. Acquired in exchange for Yunel Escobar back in December of 2012. So facing his former team. Ball and 2 strikes to Anderson. Right back to the screen, still 1-2.
You saw that little look back from Eovaldi. It really does explain somewhat his success and again at times his struggles. Again, you know, hot and cold makes sense when you look at what his first half is. He's got the ability to throw a no-hitter. We've seen it a number of times in only 9 starts this season. As I mentioned, 6 innings. Over 6 innings 3 times, 1 hit or less in 3 of those starts as he gets that cutter away from Anderson. But at the same time, he's also had 4 starts of 4 innings or more. When he's on the corners, I mean, he's one of the best guys in the game. That's what the numbers tell you. But he's also got the propensity to throw the ball down the middle of the plate a little too much. We've seen that already this inning.
Well, he's got 5 strikeouts. Here we are, 2 outs in the 3rd inning. As JT Realmuto steps in. takes ball 1. Well, that's the thing. I mean, he's not only good when he's hitting the corners, but he's got no-hit type stuff
Right.
when he's hitting the corners.
Well, maybe this explains it well. So coming into tonight, do a little research with this one. Batting average against coming in 222, slugging percentage against 434. It's the 15th largest, and I know 15th seems like, okay, but maybe that's down the list. We're talking starters. We're talking about anybody with 50 innings of qualified innings at the major league level. 15th largest differential in baseball. I mean, that's a huge number. 222 batting average against, the slugging percentage almost double that. He's given up 11 home runs this season.
And now JT out to right field. Gomez puts it away. But a solo home run for Derek Dietrich, the equalizer here at the Trop, as he takes Eovaldi deep to right center. 1-1. At 1 here into the bottom of the 3rd. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. So back even for Dan Straley, who will face Jesus Sucre, Malik Smith, and Kevin Kiermaier. 8-9-1 for the Rays. Misses down low to Sucre, who, yes, is the backup catcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, but we saw him on the mound, in fact. And one of those games, that 16-inning affair in the middle game of that 3-game series.
Wasn't it the last time we saw him was on the mound?
You might be right. I forget. He might actually play the next day, but that's what I remember most.
Right. I thought it was a unique spot. I think back to that 16-inning ball game. Kevin Cash tried to use Sucre to get him through. I think what was it, the 16th inning, right?
16th inning, yeah.
And and the idea was that he was kind of protecting his arms in the bullpen because, well, somebody had to start the next day.
Right. And even sometimes the Rays don't know who's starting the next day. With what they've got going on here and how they kind of have had to work things out. But yeah, he ended up working a 1/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 2 runs, as the Marlins, I believe that night, actually left the tying run. Tying run was at the plate, right?
Yeah, I think Sucre pitched himself out of his next opportunity.
Not going to be an opener for this team.
Yeah, not happening. Stick to catching.
Yeah, of which you may be doing a little bit more of the next few weeks, as their all-star catcher Wilson Ramos on the disabled list. On a hop to Castro. 1 away.
Well, Dan Straley really has settled down after a couple of base hits. Double to Kiermaier, base hit to Echeverria to start the ball game, and that was, well, dare I say, almost necessary. Listen, this Rays team plays great baseball here at Tropicana Field. You've got all sorts of evidence that tells you the type of baseball they play, but here's what you need to know. 2 earned runs or less they have allowed in 8 of their last 9 games here. It's not a whole lot of offense, and you're right. Now, you mentioned, how the Marlins do it, how the Rays do it, very similar. You'd almost expect that these 3 games would be low scoring.
Well, that first series that they played, and that was earlier in the month of July, 3-2 in 10 innings with a walk-off, and then it was 5-2 in 16 innings, and then 3-0. But it was really JT Riddle 3, Rays nothing that day. But yeah, 3 pretty tight ball games. There's Riddle. Nothing in 2 to Malik Smith. Smith with a .444 average. He's 12 for 27, 5 extra base hits in 11 games, 8 of which he has started since the beginning of the month. Two from Straley. Misses low, and the count runs full.
That's really been a bit of the difference maker for the Rays. Again, they've played pretty good baseball in July as well. And again, a very similar story in that their offense has picked it up. In June, 3.22 runs per game. July, 5.79. A lot of that based on the series in Minnesota, the 35 runs they scored. And actually losing 3 of 4. Batting average up to 285 as a team. OPS at 809.
Fourth season at the helm here in St. Pete for Kevin Cash. He said to go about it a little bit differently this year, something we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Certainly will continue to talk about as the Rays continue to do so. That one in and out of the glove of Castro on the line drive from Smith, who will reach with 1 out in the 3rd.
Yeah, line drive off the bat. Castro a shot at it, hit off the top of his glove. It's going to go as a hit. So the Rays a base runner here in the bottom of the 3rd, 1 out.
Here's Kiermaier back to the top of the order. A hustle double and a run scored as they get a check on Smith over at first. Gotta keep a close eye on him. 16 stolen bases, tied for 7th in the American League.
He's also been caught 7 times. That's the most in the American League.
Side, Cooper spins and throws. They'll get the lead runner Smith. And there are 2 outs here in the 3rd. Stay tuned in the middle of the 7th inning for the Ram Game Break. Brought to you by the all-new 2019 Ram 1500.
Tell you what, nice job by Cooper. That chopper to the right side. Nice spin and strong throw. Riddle covering 2nd. Smith, good base runner. Echeverria base hit through the left side first time up. Drove in the game's, I should say, the Rays' only run. See Echeverria's numbers with the Marlins. His name is kind of out there once again. This Rays team tries to decide whether to be buyers or sellers, which his name has come up in a number of places. Certainly some interest in his services.
Yeah, the Rays have a few of those guys whose names have been mentioned in trade rumors. Sunday starter Chris Archer, certainly in a number of those rumors.
And I think let's say next 7 to 14 days, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, they have to surge. I mean, here's the thing. I mentioned the 14-1 record coming into tonight's ball game. They've got 14, check that, 15, including tonight, of the next 19 at home. They've got to make up some ground in the wild card to decide whether to be buyers or sellers. It's pretty simple.
Well, it is amazing now with that second wild card. Sometimes I think about it and I sit there and I think, well, you know what, if the trade deadline was like 2 weeks later, might make life a little easier. But now to figure out if you're a buyer or a seller. But just over the break, we've seen Manny Machado, who in about 5 minutes or less will make his Dodgers debut in Milwaukee. Brad Hand and Adam Simber going from the San Diego Padres to the Cleveland Indians. So teams are making moves. We saw last year at the deadline, or excuse me, at the All-Star break, the Chicago Cubs acquired Jose Quintana. Echeverria could not hold up, so Straley leaves a runner on as we are through 3 here at the Trop, tied at 1.
Giveaway for fans that join us on Saturday, July 28th, as the Marlins take on the Nationals. Be one of the first in the gates to pick up your Marlins pullover presented by Ocean Bank. Tickets start at $15. Visit marlins.com/giveaways to purchase your tickets.
1-1 as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Justin Bohr to lead things off. Starlin Castro and Martin Prado against Nathan Eovaldi. 1-1 the score. Rays scored in the bottom of the 1st inning. Marlins with the equalizer on a solo home run from Derek Dietrich in inning number 3, his 12th on the year. 2 balls and no strikes to Justin Bohr. chopper over the head of Evaldi. You're going to have to get rid of it quick from the glove. A heck of a play by Wendell at second base. Boy, that's the only way he was going to make that play, is if he shoveled it with the glove over to Bowers at first, and Bohr is retired.
I'll tell you what, listen, I think we can all appreciate a pretty special play when you see one. I'm not sure if Evaldi kind of redirected the ball off his glove because he pursued it, but Wendell, this was a backflip from about 45 feet away. My goodness, let's take another look. Yeah, it got all the way over. It just seemed like he did, but he caught it and flipped it backwards. Backhanded flip. The throw right on the money.
And I'll tell you what, if there's any air underneath that one, if there's any loft to that, Bohr beats it out. But that was done, I wonder if he was like an option quarterback or something back in the day. Heck of a play by Wendell. One out for Starlin Castro, who lines this one toward the corner. And a few steps away from the line. Gomez makes the play. 2 up and 2 down. Two outs for Martin Prado. In there for a called strike. Prado with a fly ball out to Gomez in the second inning. With 3 multi-hit games since his return. 10 for 30, a home run, 6 RBIs. On the ground right side, Wendell. Well, after the first play he made, that one pretty routine. 3 up, 3 down through 3.5. (3-0) for both teams. The South Florida Honda dealers have Marlins live. Jessica, Tommy, and Jeff in studio, getting you set for a preview of the second game of the Citrus Series. Nice way to get out of the break. Short flight from Miami to St. Petersburg. Went coast to coast in about a half an hour yesterday. I mean, East Coast to the West Coast of Florida, but still coast to coast in about 35 minutes.
That's right.
By the time we got up to cruising altitude, they said, all right, we're about to land.
You'd barely gotten your dinner.
I know. I mean, I wasn't going to stop from eating, but yes, you're right. See the distribution of balls in play on the infield off the bat of Jake Bowers. StatCast AI powered by AWS. Did he go? Laz Diaz over at third says no swing.
That is some pretty telling numbers. You see why the Marlins are playing on those lines. 91% of the balls that way. Unbelievable, isn't it?
It is. And Bowers is retired.
They basically gave him the entire left side of the infield. Still a ground ball to the right side.
Well, I mean, listen, there is no shortage of information in the game today. And some teams have, or at least it would make you think that they've got more than others, but whatever the front offices may have, it still does come down to the players to either understand it, to buy into it, whatever the case might be.
No, it's execution. That's what it is.
And,
I mean, it's both
that.
on the mound and in the batter's box.
Right.
I mean, there was a life lesson I was taught at a very early age. Reggie Smith and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Reggie says, Holly, here's the deal. See a ground ball to JT. Up with it. Second out of the inning. Now here's the idea. Before you get in the box for your at-bat, the first pitch that you see, look out and see what you see. See where the second baseman's playing. You see where the shortstop aligns himself. They're executing a game plan, and there's knowledge to be gained. And then put your at-bat together from what you were already thinking once you see how they're playing you. And a lot of times you'd see, you know, again, hitters would be willing to. Some hitters are getting better about this, you know, go the other way. But when you look at that, like the split, the entire left side of the infield, 9% on Bowers. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Marlins were basically like, the left side's yours. If you, all you have to do is hit the ball over there. There wasn't anybody to defend it.
Well, the Phillies had 4 men on the right side of the infield against Derek Dietrich a couple of times in the series before the break. We've seen the Astros with, I think it's the Astros, right? With everybody outside the pitcher and the catcher on the second base side of second base. Not just the infielders, the outfielders, right? Like, it is fascinating. It's also why we see players sometimes look in their back pocket for a card, figure out where I'm supposed to be. As Straley issues the walk to Ji-Man Choi.
Are you ready for storm season? We are. See how you can prepare at fpl.com/storm.
1 out and 2 out for Carlos Gomez, who flew out to Dietrich and left back in the second inning.
Well, Dan Straley's been doing a nice job. 10 first pitch strikes. The first 14 batters. Getting ahead.
Line over the head of Riddle and into left field. Choi stops at second, a 2-out base hit for Gomez.
Let's take another look. Slider off that outside edge. I'll tell you, for these Rays have been busy heating up in the month of July, including Carlos Gomez, no doubt about it. I was thinking back, as I saw during the All-Star break, you know, some of the highlight shows that were out there. You remember when Carlos went to work on that poor Gatorade cooler?
I do.
And I saw it a number of times, obviously, over the All-Star break. I couldn't help but think of it when I saw him obviously get into the box right there. The Gatorade cooler took a beating.
You know what? I wonder if that's why Rock is here.
Here you go. My goodness. What did the water cooler do to you?
That was after he squared to bunt, got hit on the hand, and then was upset that it wasn't called a hit by pitch. And basically, he squared to bunt, so therefore it's a swing. And when you swing and get hit by the pitch, it's a swing. The swing supersedes the hit by pitch.
I've seen that a number of times in my career, and I always wondered if Gatorade maybe should change their color instead of that bright orange.
Right.
You know, maybe go with just like a toned down color.
Like a subtle blue.
You know, yeah, a calming color is what I'm going for.
Right.
As opposed to that aggressive one that makes you want to just hit it.
Maybe like a yellow one. Proceed with caution. Don't destroy this thing.
Mellow.
Because frankly, it's not yours to destroy. They get a check over at second. Choi is back. A couple of ground balls to start this fourth inning. A walk to Choi and a single for Gomez. And now a ball and a strike on Joey Wendell. Rays' second baseman tonight, who popped up into foul ground to end inning number 2.
2:08 on the season with runners in scoring position.
So out to right field. Anderson has a beat on it. And Straley strands a couple of Rays. We are through 4 here at the Trop.
It's still a tie ball game here as we get set for the top of the 5th. But first, it's time for the Chevy Prospect Spotlight. Tonight, it's Isan Diaz who took home his 2nd Player of the Week award on Monday. Then yesterday, Diaz was promoted to AA, promoted from AAA New Orleans. You see his numbers right there. He's had a lot of success, but he's not the only one. This year, 10 different Marlins prospects have won Player of the Week awards. 2 won by Diaz. That's 11 total. One of those prospects who has been playing so well so far this season, Jorge Guzman, another one to be excited about. He represented the Marlins in DC and pitched 2/3 of an inning in the Futures game. He allowed just 1 hit, struck out 1, and didn't throw anything under 96 miles per hour. A lot to be excited about in our farm system. Holly, what excites you most?
Well, the number of prospects, and I think the fact that, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at Diaz's numbers, and, you know, when you're looking at them, and you're realizing that he put them up at AA and he's getting that opportunity, it's, you know, new ownership kind of coming through on what they've promised, which is opportunity. High fastball puts JT Riddle away. And when it kind of comes down to it, you love to see your young prospects obviously playing well in the minor leagues, but again, it's always about that advancement, because that's the way a minor leaguer thinks. Minor leaguer's like, all right, listen, I'd love to put together a great full season at A-ball if that's the game plan, but when you get hot and you start pumping out numbers and you're winning Player of the Week honors, you start thinking to yourself, and I had a couple times where I thought this to myself and I didn't get it, and there was a little bit of a letdown. You know, I hope I get an opportunity to go to the next level, and the Marlins are coming through with a lot of those opportunities for some of these younger players. If you produce in A-ball, if you're getting the job done, you're getting it done pretty consistently, you're going to get moved up. You're going to get moved up to AA, and you're going to continue to get pushed. And that's exactly what you want to see. And for Diaz, he's now won 2 Player of the Week honors in AA. Now where does he find himself today? He's in AAA. That's what you want. That's exactly what you're thinking as a minor leaguer.
Well, that's the thing with this organization, and really with any organization, as it's 0-2 right here to Garrett Cooper, is that, you know, you start the year in spring training or in the offseason or whatever it might be and say, okay, here's the plan for player A, B, or C. But sometimes the player can totally change that, turn that upside down. I mean, look at a guy like Pablo Lopez. You know, how many times have we heard different ways of the Marlins personnel saying, well, you know, we kicked the door down. He made his opportunity to get up to the big leagues. So, you know, they might say, well, you know, player A, B, or C is going to be in AA or AAA for X number of times. But if the guy hits 415 for 6 weeks, he'll move up.
It's the great joy of being a Marlin right now. And if you're a young player, and Don Mattingly's all about it, you know, some of these younger guys getting opportunities, you know, earning the opportunities, but being rewarded with playing time at the next level. And that's exactly what I'm getting to. See, for me, you know, the message that was delivered was, listen, you can bust down the door at the next level, but we want you to conquer AA. Well, you know, you come out and you have an all-star first half in AA, and you're thinking, boy, man, I'm ready for AAA. That's what you're thinking in your head, but yet you're telling yourself to be patient because you're still going out there playing AA games. What's going on with the Marlins, and the promise that these younger players are getting is play well, you will advance.
Ball and a strike to Cameron Maben with 2 outs in the inning. 2 more strikeouts for Eovaldi. He's up to 7 tonight. Not a strikeout at all. Keeps it fair, does Maben down the right field line. Gomez gets to it quick out there at the bullpen. Keeps Maben to a single, but a 2-out knock the other way for Cam.
Now, great approach. Certainly we've seen this from Maben a number of times, even here tonight. Going the other way, really trying to keep those hands inside the baseball, especially with 2 strikes. Coming to foul balls that way. Rewarded with the base hit to right. Now the question is, will he run? He has become a major threat of late. 6 games coming into this evening, 5 stolen bases.
Out to center field. That will fall in front of Malik Smith, and turning toward third is Maben, and he'll get there standing. So Dietrich from a home run to right center field his last time up. This one a little bit of a jam shot, falling in front of Malik Smith, who just prior to this inning moved from left to center.
Well, a medium deep line drive. It's not all about exit velocity, but certainly a sure base hit right there. Smith had to play it back. That's what turf does to you. You got to be so careful as an outfielder. He pursues that ball a little too hard. It could have bounced over his head. Marlins would have been happy if that would have happened, but again, you have to be very careful. That's why he pulled up.
So now 4 for 8 with the home run against Eovaldi. First and third for the Marlins here with 2 outs in the 5th inning. Brian Anderson takes low. He entered the day 3rd in Major League Baseball with a .409 batting average with runners in scoring position. By the way, the rest of the defensive changes. Smith now in center, Bowers in left with C.J. Crone at first base as Anderson fouls that one back to the screen. You see the changes for the Rays. Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Anderson along with Joey Wendell on this list. Sorry. Hits in July. Brian Anderson tops. Excuse me, hits overall among rookies, not in July. So Kiermaier left the game with right foot discomfort. That's why Smith is now in center and Crone is in the game. Fouled away again. 2-2.
Well, don't you find this defensive alignment just unique with Brian Anderson? I mean, how many times do we see Brian Anderson go the other way for an RBI base hit? You see Wendell now. He had slid over just a little bit. When this at bat started, again, it was about Eovaldi executing pitches. And again, on the ground, I know the percentages do kind of favor the left side of the diamond, but still, we've just seen him so many times stay inside of a baseball and go the other way. To look at that hole over there has got to be enticing for Brian Anderson.
Maben the runner at third after a 2-out base hit. And he moved to third on the Dietrich single. Five hits off of Eovaldi tonight. But the Marlins have also struck out 7 times. BA trying to give the Marlins the lead as they check on Dietrich over at first. We showed you those 109 hits for Anderson in the first half of the season. Actually a club rookie record for hits in the first half. Runner goes, no throw, and Dietrich into second. The count now full to Anderson.
Well, it certainly changes the dynamic of this inning. A base hit could score 2. That base is open, but you got JT Realmuto in the on-deck circle. See what Eovaldi chooses to do.
Payoff pitch on the way. Anderson in the air towards center field. Smith will make the catch. We head to the middle of the 5th inning here at the Trop, tied at 1.
Take care of Marlins fans on Wellmax Senior Thursdays. Fans 65 and older can receive a complimentary ticket to the game. All you need to do is present a valid ID at the third base entrance of Marlins Park and join us on July 26th when the Marlins host the Nationals. For more information, visit marlins.com/offers.
Jesus Sucre to lead things off for the Rays. Swings the first pitch, fouls it down the right field line and out of play. Sucre, and then Malik Smith and C.J. Crone. 8, 9, and 1 due up for the Rays. Straley picking up right where he left off. Granted, it's just starting the 5th inning here, but as Holly mentioned before, at least 6 innings and 4 straight starts, 4 consecutive quality starts, as that one, I believe, got a piece of the home plate umpire on the foul tip. Manny Gonzalez spinning out of the way afterwards.
We've seen it kind of start to really develop again tonight. You know, early on, obviously 2 batters in. The Rays had already scored, but Australia is now settled in. And getting into that secondary arsenal. Good changeup tonight, good slider as well. To me, over the last 4 starts, that's what's really stood out. When you look at the numbers or the evidence, I mean, hitters are hitting 260, and certainly that's down a little bit than what we saw early on against Dan Straley against his 4-seam fastball. But when you see a jump like 9%, which certainly stands out, he was using his slider about 30% of the time. Over the last 4 starts, he's been using it 39% of the time. Tells you the effectiveness not only of the pitch, but the trust in that pitch. You see that slider result in a fly ball out.
And he's really been in control since those first 2 hitters. Here's another look at the pitch that induced the fly ball.
Well, and that's what's important, I think, to Dan Straley's game. He'll tell you, I'm not going to survive on fastballs alone. I mean, he can elevate at times, and we've seen him use his fastball vertically in the zone. He's still got to be on the corners and on the edges, and he's still prone to give up the home run ball if, in fact, he misses out over the plate. When you start with the ability to change speeds using the changeup, as you just saw there, to a left-handed batter, a hot left-handed batter, you know, you change his eye level. 89, 90-mile-an-hour fastball all of a sudden speeds up a little bit when you're looking at first pitch changeups. Of course, the slider is a big part of what he does as well.
A little high to Malik Smith, who singled in the 3rd. Well, I think the bottom line is, whether it's Straley or Lopez, Urania, Chen, you know, whoever it's going to be as we continue to move forward in the second half, this team and every team, I suppose, is all predicated on the starting pitching. And when the starting pitching sets the tone, that's how this team is going to win games. I mean, we saw it early as the team was trying to, you know, find its identity, as Don Mattingly talked so much about these last few weeks. The starters were not working deep in the games. Now, there have certainly been some different names in the mix the last few months. I mean, Straley didn't start the season with the club. He was on the DL. Same thing for Wei-Yin Chen. But once things start to solidify themselves and the starters go deeper into games, the back end of the bullpen begins to solidify itself. And that's how this club is going to continue what they're doing. Playing 3 games over 500 over the course of the last 40 or so games.
Well, basically what you're describing, Paul, is a rhythm. That's what a team gets into, the rhythm that they get into. Now listen, when you're getting a string of great starts and you have a clunker that pops in there every now and again, Smith takes off.
And off the edge of the glove of Castro, and in there at second is Smith.
Well, I think they get him if Castro holds on to the baseball. Gotta give Malik Smith a stolen base, 17th on the season. Let's take another look. Good exchange, good release from JT. That ball definitely beat him. We've talked many times about that quick tag that we saw in the first half. I think in that instance, a little too quick.
Ball and no strikes to C.J. Crone.
Let's go.
Out to left center field. Dietrich is there. Smith tags from second. Here comes the throw. Smith a little too quick, so he moves up 90 feet with now 2 outs here in the 5th.
Now in that instance there, Dietrich did a nice job getting over to catch the ball, but I think you saw Cameron Maben and Dietrich talking about it right there. Ideally, you'd like to see Maben catch that fly ball, just merely because he's got a straight line into third base. For Dietrich, he's got to spin. That's the only way that he gets lined back up with third, so Maben probably had a better shot at a strong throw there. Again, if you think that both guys could catch the ball, See, as they're coming together, clearly Maven understands that Dietrich's got it, but you saw what Dietrich had to do to get back in line with third base. Maven catches that ball. He's got a full head of steam coming back towards the infield.
0-1 to Echeverria. Drove in the Rays run back in the first inning. An RBI single to bring home Kiermaier. Now 0-2. He also struck out in the third inning. One of 2 strikeouts today for Straley. It's a 7-game hit streak now for Echeverria. Cut on and miss. There, strike 3. So 3 Ks through 5 innings for Dan Straley. We are tied at 1 through 5. Jessica, thank you very much. Yeah, quite an afternoon at Wrigley Field, and those 2 teams gearing up for a 5-game series.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. How about that to start the second half? Those 2 teams, a lot of great history together. Certainly some feathers ruffled in St. Louis as Mike Matheny dismissed as the manager right there at the break.
Yeah.
Looking to play better, and hello, you get 5 games in Chicago against your rival Cubs to start the second half. There you go.
JT Realmuto out toward right center field. Gomez for the first out here in the 6th. Time now for this day in Marlins history, presented to you by Geico. July 20th, 2013, a 6-0 Brewers win, but the Marlins paying homage to the city's pro baseball past by wearing 1956 Miami Marlins minor league uniforms. And of course, Nathan Eovaldi wearing a throwback uniform while he was still with the Marlins. Saw Milwaukee with the 1923 Negro League Milwaukee Bears pinstripes. A couple of seasons with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Tell you what, I did a throwback in 2006 with the Cleveland Indians, and we were wearing those wool uniforms. You want to talk about uncomfortable? Wow.
Like a sauna.
Kind of looked like that's what they had on. I'm not sure how they did it back in the day, but it did not look, I mean, I certainly played with it on. I think I lost 5 pounds that day.
I should try that.
Might work. Walk around in an old timers uniform. You're more than welcome to come to the booth and wear an old timers uniform tomorrow. We won't put it on air or anything.
Absolutely. See if anybody notices. Certainly noticing the strikeouts for Evaldi. He's got 8 as Toby Milner begins to loosen. Toby Milner made his debut on Sunday against the Minnesota Twins. Right now, Evaldi has been dealing. Castro taps it foul, 0-2. Again, 8 strikeouts for Evaldi, his season high 9. Has done that twice this year. Blocked by Sucre, 1-2. I don't know what's worse, just going back to, as I continue to think about this, a 5-game series coming out of the break or a 5-game series going into the break. That's what the Brewers and Pirates had. And the Brewers lost all 5 games.
Yeah, as I say, and that was, again, having to go mano-a-mano with the Marlins at home. Marlins played them tough. Took 2 of 3, and then they went on to Pittsburgh. You're right.
Lost 7 of 8. Backhanded at third, and the throw pulls Crone off the bag. Bit of air under that chopper.
Now, certainly a sense of urgency. I'm going to give him a hit on this. To be honest, play felt rushed. Castro hustling all the way out of the box, which you love to see. A quick release. A little too much for Crone.
Well, we'll see if the Marlins can do anything with a 2-out base runner here in the 6th inning. Martin Prado. 0-1. Prado tonight 0 for 2. Fly ball and a ground out.
For Starlin Castro, 33rd multi-hit game of the season. Just took over the top spot. Brian Anderson had been going mano-a-mano all first half. 2 hits for Castro tonight.
Well, Evaldi is not losing anything on the fastball. That was his 95th pitch, and it came in at 97 miles an hour. That one a tick slower at 94, but something you mentioned earlier, among starting pitchers this year who've thrown at least 250 fastballs, according to StatCast, Luis Severino at 97.7, then Noah Syndergaard at 97.4, and then Nathan Evaldi tied with Shohei Ohtani at 96.8, the average fastball velocity. So tied for 3rd best in Major League Baseball. This one to Robertson at 3rd, caught on the fly. Taking away extra bases from Martin Prado. Hit sharply, but Robertson was there. We head to the bottom of the 6th, tied at 1. Pitchers duel on our hands in the opener of the second half. First of a 3-game set here in the Citrus Series, and Dan Straley's been doing his part of the work.
Yeah, his usual stuff. And if you add the slider and the changeup percentages together, you see 51.4%. It says he's using those pitches a little bit more than even that fastball. The command has been good, certainly a big part of what he does. He has to set up those secondary pitches, but for tonight's ballgame, the changeup has been an outstanding pitch as well, particularly against the left-handed hitters. He doesn't throw too many changeups to the righties, but a very, very nice balancing act. I've obviously mentioned the slider more than the changeup, but how about a 133 batting average against that changeup over his last 4 starts as well?
The 1-1 to Jake Bowers is in there at the bottom of the zone. A ball and 2 strikes. Bowers, one of the 3 strikeouts tonight for Straley, also grounded out in the 4th. Screen, still 1-2. Chop to Prado, who with the shift on the right side of the infield for the first out.
Are you ready for storm season? We are. See how you can prepare at fpl.com/storm.
Next pitch will be number 80 for Straley. Has more action in the Rays bullpen. Saw Milner up before, now Castillo. Low to Robertson, who is 0 for 2 tonight. Straley has been in control really since the first 2 batters of the game reached. Kiermaier with the hustle double, first Rays hitter of the game. And then Adeiny Echeverria brought him around on an RBI single, but then a strikeout and a double play ball. Set down the Rays 1-2-3 in the second. Fly ball out to right field. Anderson moving in for out number 2. A little bit of trouble in the 4th inning. 2-out walk, 2-out base hit, but got out of further trouble. And his 2nd walk of the game in the 5th inning, but was able to work around that as well. So he is approaching 2 outs here in the 6th, getting through 6 innings in 5 consecutive starts.
Certainly well on his way. His pitch count very manageable, 83 pitches. This number 84. Good position to even go longer tonight. No reason to believe that he wouldn't unless you see trouble here with 2 outs at the bottom of the 6th. Of course, in the American League Park, got the DH, so Dan not having to worry about running the bases or hitting. He has been doing a lot more of that lately, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Tiring himself out on the bases.
For sure. Well, you want to be involved in the game.
That's fantastic changeup. My goodness. Say he must be trading notes with Trevor Richards. Watch the drop on the changeup all the way to the bottom of the zone. Very difficult for a hitter to lay off.
Left side, Dietrich coming in, will make the catch. And it's a 1-2-3 6th inning for Dan Straley. 1-1 to the 7th. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Cleveland Clinic. Come out and join us for our community grand opening event on July 21st from 9 a.m. through 12 p.m. For more information, visit clevelandclinicflorida.org/Coral Springs, and by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Nice night in St. Petersburg on the Gulf Coast of Florida as Dan Straley has worked through 6 sharp innings, but not to be outdone. Nathan Eovaldi was pretty good through his 6, but he has given way for Diego Castillo.
Pitching in his 19th ball game. He's done a nice job out of the Rays bullpen. 2.57 ERA. Lefty's hitting 172. Righty's just 196.
He'll face Riddle, and then Cooper and Maven, bottom third of the order for the Marlins here in the 7th.
They're trying to keep the theme going with Castillo tonight. Average fastball velocity this season 97 miles an hour. So he is going to follow Eovaldi, who threw 63 pitches tonight at 95 miles an hour or harder.
Yeah, he does not lack velocity.
I don't think he knows how to tone it down, does he?
No.
Well, the one pitch, or at least the one that I saw the most, that one splitty to Dietrich at 87 got turned around. Marlins' only run.
Riddle can't hold up. A ball and 2 strikes.
Well, we've seen it tonight from the Marlins. What high-end velocity does, it puts you on point. You certainly defend against it as a hitter, but it also makes you a little bit more vulnerable against those secondary pitches, because you start to tell yourself, I need to start my swing a little sooner. I need to think about getting my hands going into the strike zone. Eovaldi tonight, 97 pitches. We saw the fastball and cutter combination. How about 80 between the 4-seam fastball and his cutter? Now, he only threw 13 sliders and only 4 splitties, and I'm telling you, Dietrich scared him off the splitty, no doubt about it. Usually throws about 10 to 15 a game, but only 4 tonight. Threw 1 to Dietrich, as I said, turned around.
Little off the mark. 2-2. A couple of strikeouts tonight for Riddle. Again, 8 for Eovaldi. 1 shy of his season high. 2 shy of his career high. But all in all, Eovaldi has been pretty sharp this year for the Rays. And Diego Castillo picks up right where their starter left off. Time for Lowe's whole team together. And in the month of July so far for the Marlins, hitting .275. Only the Reds and Rockies have been better, and there have been some really incremental rises if you go month by month for this Marlins team. Offensively across the board, it's been nice to see.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they've been fantastic, and I think that's what you feel, you know, if you're the Marlins hitting coach, if you're Pags, you're Frankie, I mean, you feel so good about what you're seeing from your young hitters. How about this? .228 batting average, March and April. .239 in May. .255 in June, up to .275 in July, as you just mentioned. I mean, that's delivering a message, working tirelessly in the cages, and getting the most out of your players. And they're responding. The offense has gone up. There's no doubt about it. We've seen it here in the month of July, and we've, you know, really when they first learned how to compete and they were playing good defense and pitching a little bit better when we talked about the 5-17 start. You see Frank Menachino right there. The reason it's translated into a record that's now 3 games over since June 5th is because the offense has responded. It hasn't just been, okay, now we're getting good starts, the bullpen's doing its job, we're playing good defense. They're battling back. There's a little cushion there for the pitching. Doesn't have to be perfect every time out. Doesn't have to give up 2 runs or less to win a ball game. And the offense is doing some things. We've had some big moments towards the end of the first half. Done a fantastic job with this crew. They've helped this Marlins group get good at what they can be good at. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You're not up there saying, okay, guys, we need to hit more 3-run home runs. There's only a couple of guys that really are qualified for even that conversation. Walks, knocks, good, long, lengthy at-bats. Mentioned the 275 batting average in July. That was 8th. That's 8th in Major League Baseball. Come in with a 743 OPS. That's 16th. Now we talk about being, right there in the middle of the pack. But get this: 5th in number of pitches seen this month. That's a stat that I've just now started kind of paying attention to a little bit more with this Marlins group, because not that it necessarily turns itself into walks, but it turns itself into the approach that they have top to bottom in the lineup, which is to kind of grind out starters, keep themselves in ball games. Yes, battle back a number of times, but lengthening out at bats. They've done a fantastic job with 2 strikes as a team this season.
Well, that really just goes to the overall, just having an approach, having an idea of what you want to do at the plate. I mean, this is not a Marlins thing. It's just more of a general thought. Like, everybody that's in the major leagues, all 750 players, were probably the best player wherever they were growing up. And you could just kind of roll out of bed, go out there and probably get 3 or 4 hits with some extra base hits, and get up on the mound, barely stretch, and strike 15 guys out. Like, that's kind of the cream of the crop, right? But that mental side of the game is what you need to learn, whether if you're a young team like the Marlins. You need to learn that mental approach to survive at this level, not just to get here, but to survive here. And that's what's been a great growing moments for these teams.
How about a growing moment for Cameron Maben? I mean, he was playing in his 1,000th career game tonight. I mean, we saw Cam. I mean, early on he was doing a fantastic job against the lefties, but it wasn't a total story. I mean, he's been so much improved over the last 3 weeks, getting the opportunity to play every day. But even as a guy who's in the middle of his career, I mean, you're constantly looking to help your team create an identity, and this offense finally has one. It's not one that centers around long ball conversation, although the home runs have showed up a little bit more of late. But the point is this: they grind out at bats, they take their walks. We showed you JB, he's really changed his game, but on the whole, the guys at the top of the lineup have just done a nice job of kind of extending innings.
Ball and 2 strikes with Cooper off of first. Cam takes low and away, 2-2. Cam with a base hit in the 5th inning. Now 3-2.
Castillo, this will be his 18th pitch. This is a pretty good example of how the Marlins operate. Walked by Cooper. Good at bat by Maben, regardless of the result. A lot of knowledge is passed down the line. Dietrich sitting in the on-deck circle, whether he faces him or not, paying attention to every pitch, every slider that he sees, every fastball that Maben sees.
Runner goes. Throw down to second. Goes off the glove of Wendell, but it doesn't necessarily matter in the sense that it's a ball 4 to Maben. It did get far enough away that Cooper could have advanced to third, but he was just more concerned with making sure his head was still on his body. Got close.
Ball 4, that's right. You see the throw now, so everybody understands. You see the ball hit off Wendell's glove there. Cooper could have bounced up and advanced. I mean, just regardless, I mean, that ball is a live ball. It's in play, regardless of the walk. That's going to do it for Castillo.
So Hobie Milner is going to come in. The Florida Lottery call to the bullpen here at the Trop as the Marlins threaten with 2 on and 1 out in the 7th. Coming to the plate, new Monopoly jackpot scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery are a new spin on a classic. They're loaded with prizes from $10,000 to $2 million. So unleash the excitement anytime. Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. So Milner, who was purchased by the Rays from the Philadelphia Phillies just a few days ago, is on to pitch. Lefty-lefty matchup against Derek Dietrich.
Small sample size this season. 4 for 17 against the left-handed hitters. Has given up a home run. That's .235 batting average against. Sinker, curve. So his 2 primary pitches. You saw the curveball. First pitch out. Now he's inherited 3 runners. 3 have scored. Marlins would like to keep that trend going against Milner.
Ball on the strike now to Dietrich, whose home run back in the 3rd inning is 12th of the season. The only run of the game for the Marlins, but a chance to change that with Cooper on at second and Maben the runner at first. This one to right field. Gomez looks up, and that one is gone. A multi-homer game for Dietrich. A 3-run shot, and it's 4-1 Marlins.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure you should triple up against Dietrich with anything right now. My goodness, Milner, 3 curveballs, number 3 deposited in the right field bleachers. Dietrich responsible for all 4 runs driven in tonight. 2 home runs, a base hit. And my oh my, taking full advantage of this breaking ball. Splits the plate, knows he got it. Second time tonight we've seen that finish. Tell you what, his birthday was on Wednesday. He's celebrating like it's today.
Absolutely. Blown out the candles twice today for his 2nd career multi-home run game.
Maybe that's what he was doing, right? Blew out his cake on Wednesday and said, I got a game on Friday. What do you wish for?
Well, now the Fighting Dietrich's 4 and the Rays 1.
That's right. He's back. All-star break slowing him down. Let me say this. We had some conversation at the beginning of this inning about this Marlins approach, and there's 1 home run in this inning. I mean, it was set up by the 2 walks to your 8 and 9 hitter in your lineup. And I'll tell you what, the last one to Maben, he worked himself all the way back against the Castillo, who's throwing 97 miles an hour with a pretty nasty slider at 89, down 2 strikes. I mean, that's who the Marlins are. think back to the great comeback on Sunday afternoon. Last game in the first half, down 5-0. 10 unanswered runs against the Philadelphia Phillies.
Their largest deficit in a comeback win this year. Only a 1-run deficit today, but they have taken a 4-1 lead here in the 7th inning. Payoff pitch to Anderson on the left field line. Foul. That goes flying. Ball goes the opposite direction.
That's why I got safety nets.
Yeah.
Not kidding around. I know a lot of fans are like, well, I would have had a bat right there. The exit velocity on that bat was 77.8 miles an hour. I'm just kidding. But it sure seemed like it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, he finished his swing. Watch how fast this gets in the stands.
And when that bat starts spinning around, in all seriousness, sometimes it looks like it's going to be over here and it ends up over there, and you're looking at it, you're thinking there's no way that's going to come, and then boom, and that's where it can get dangerous. So yeah, great job by Major League Baseball with the netting around home plate as Anderson works the walk, the 3rd walk of the inning for the Marlins. Now 1 on, still just 1 out for JT Realmuto. A base hit in the 1st inning, couple of flyouts to right field tonight. And now this one driven to left field. Hit well and off the top of the wall. Anderson on his way to 3rd. JT to 2nd, ball gets away, and here comes Anderson. And it's still kicked away by Robertson toward the dugout, and Realmuto is going to end up at 3rd, but now
he's going to score.
He'll be given home plate as Robertson kicked it out of play.
That's right, 2 bases. There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Well, JT about, I don't know what, 3-4 feet away from a home run.
He scored
on the
anyway.
swing. He got it anyway.
Little league homer.
There you go. You hear the calls in the dugout. Little league home run. Yeah, he did not miss a home run by much. Hit the top of the wall. You had a little boot out there, and then you've got a little bit here. Yeah, it just completely misses it off the foot. Going to give it a double E6. See the redirect into the dugout. Camera well.
That ball was literally booted twice. I think it hit Echeverria's foot once, and then Robertson went to go corral it, and he kicked it.
I thought the World Cup was over.
Maybe not. So now 6-1 Marlins here in the 7th inning. Justin Bohr with a pop-up. A couple of steps on the outfield turf. And Echeverria puts it away. That close. Bobbled, kicked, and kicked again. Two outs for Starlin Castro's got a couple of hits today. It's now 9 multi-hit games in his last 14. Just showed you the singles leaders in the National League. But he started the day tied with Scooter Gennett among second basemen in hits with 112 behind Ozzie Albies. Quickly thumb through some scores here to see where Mr. Albies is. Oh, Albies has a hit. So Albie's up to 114, even with Castro. Hits one to short. Echeverria over to first, and the inning is over. But the Marlins score 5 in the inning. Check in with the studio. Coming up. Six to 1 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Jessica, Nelly, thanks so much. Now it's time for Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. And what all-star break. There are no cobwebs to shake out for Dan Straley. He's been very sharp tonight through 6 innings of work.
Well, Dan Straley and the crew. The Marlins certainly responding as well, but Dan Straley, fantastic job so far. Working into the 7th inning, this is what you wanted to see tonight. I told you, a very manageable pitch count coming into the 7th, and he has been in complete control since the 1st inning. We talked, that little bit of a rough June, if you will. At times running into trouble at the beginning of a ball game. He's eliminated that over this stretch of quality starts. Talk about sometimes those moments, those little pockets of games where 2, 3, 4 hitters in a row, he'll find himself chasing a little bit. He's been able to keep the ball in the yard much, much better, and he's been so much more effective and efficient, as you can tell, over his last few starts. In fact, last 4, he's gone over 100 pitches. Not sure where that ball missed. Apparently it did.
Just a little high, said the home plate umpire, Manny Gonzalez. One more look. Nevertheless, 3rd walk issued by Straley as Brad Ziegler is up in the Marlins bullpen. Now to the mound goes Juan Nieves. Well, again, 15th start this season for Straley, and the 7th time that he has gone at least 6 innings. He's completed 7 innings twice. 5-run cushion right now after the 5 spot in the 7th for Miami.
Well, that meeting right there, I think, is much about getting Dan kind of back online as it was to a little bit focused there, a little communication with the home plate umpire, and maybe a little misunderstanding there, but just to kind of break up what might have been a little bit of a bad rhythm to start this bottom of the 7th.
Joey Wendell swings at the first pitch, fouls it back, 0-1. Well, I mean, they scored 5 runs in the inning. There was a pitching change mixed in, so we had to sit and wait a little bit. Not to say that that's an excuse, but just
you don't want to let up here, regardless whether it's 3-1, 4-1, or 6-1. You certainly want Straley going back out there and being pitching with as much conviction as we've seen innings. Well, really, we even saw it in the 1st inning, all the way through 6. That's the point. He's been so good. Secondary pitch is good as well. You don't want to make trouble for yourself here in the bottom of the 7th. Still a lot of ball game to go. 9 outs to get.
This one to third. Prado will get the out at first. For the first out here in the 7th. Up to second goes Gomez. That'll bring up Jesus Sucre. Sucre with a drive out to center field, but Maben is there, and back to second goes Gomez. Second out in the 7th. Smith 1 for 1 with a walk, and this year against the Marlins 3 for 3. Straley misses outside with his 95th pitch of the game. .60 strikes, 35 balls tonight for Straley. This one slowly chopped to the right side. Castro gets rid of it quick. And 7 innings of work for Dan Straley for the 3rd time this year, 6-1. Well, Dan Straley and the Marlins have taken over the game tonight. It was 1-1 until the top of the 7th inning, and something of a pitcher's duel tonight. Straley kept up his end of the bargain through 7 strong innings, but the Marlins opening things up with a 5 spot in the 7th. And now the 4th pitcher of the night for the Rays after Eovaldi, Castillo, and Milner. Jamie Schultz takes over, his 5th game for the Rays this year. He'll face Prado, Riddle, and Cooper.
Yeah, with Schultz, it's all about command. You see the 9 strikeouts in the 5 2/3 innings. He's got an overpowering fastball, but again, the 5 walks. He's only given up 1 hit. How about this? Lefties 1 for 12. The righties are 0 for 5. That's 1 for 17 combined. That's why you see the .059 batting average against. but a 4.76 ERA. Doesn't throw many breaking balls. That's only the 10th curveball he's even thrown this season. 6 miles an hour on that fastball. Average velocity, throws it 92% of the time. Maybe he's up to some new tricks. We've not seen much of this from Schultz this season.
Is there a tree somewhere that I don't know about that there are just pitchers that have velocity that are growing on them?
You better throw 96 or you're not welcome up here anymore. Just kidding.
Unreal.
Well, you see it, I'm telling you. Wow. Everybody's got it, right? Velocity, velocity, velocity.
2-2 to Prado. Here he is, taking a little bit off, a little bit off, a little. That one
very
82.
interesting. I was just busy looking at his arsenal, looking at his pitch sequence. Again, we've seen more breaking balls, almost more breaking balls this at bat than he's thrown all season. Maybe that's what he was working on over the All-Star break.
Could have been. It is his second stint with the Rays this year. Recalled from AAA Durham on the 8th of July. Was up for a few days at the end of May.
Well, he pitched on Saturday. This is before the All-Star break in Minnesota. Remember, we told you about all the runs that were scored in Minnesota in that series between the two teams. 68 runs. That's right, 68 runs scored. So he pitched 2 2/3 innings. He threw 53 straight fastballs.
That one at 95 to retire Prado for the first out here in the 8th.
Well, this one finds the corner. Definitely put that breaking ball maybe in the back of Prado's mind. He saw it a number of times. He to just foul that off, defend the strike zone, but unable to do it. He's a bit of a short armor, short, quick delivery. That fastball gets on you quick.
Here's JT Riddle for his first hit of the night. He takes a fastball at the bottom of the zone for strike one. And 2. Well, Evaldi went the first 6. He struck out 8, didn't walk anybody. Pretty impressive start for Evaldi. But then Castillo came in the 7th inning. A couple of walks. Both guys came around to score. Hobie Milner came in as Riddle is retired again. And he gave up 3 runs. Did Milner, but only one of them was earned.
MLB at Bat is your #1 Marlins app. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get Marlins home screen icons, features such as MLB.tv, game of the day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcast, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today.
Big swing from Garrett Cooper. 95 at the top of the zone, and it's 0-1. Cooper walked and scored in that 5-run 7th inning. The 3-run home run from Dietrich, and what was a double with an E6 and an E5 for Real Muto. Other than that, that one just missed.
Well, that was the breaking ball at 81 miles an hour, and fair to say it slipped.
Yeah.
It's always hard as a hitter when you're in the box and the pitch is behind you to go towards home plate. Right. We're so geared to getting away, especially with velocity. The first thing you think of is get out of the way, which is get away from home plate. Sometimes see a hitter only safe place is actually towards home plate. Or you can do like Double D and just take it.
Yeah, exactly. Just wear one. He's used to that.
15 hit by pitches on the season already. He's leading to reclaim the lead after the homestand.
3-2 to Cooper now with 2 outs. And what I was going to say was they scored 5 runs. They only got 2 hits. The home run and the double.
A couple of walks. They set things up. That's it. Well, one thing we've noticed in July, the ability to build innings. And building innings is not just about stringing 3, 4, 5 hits in a row together. I mean, again, that's incredibly difficult to do. In fact, it's, to me, the #1 thing that, you talk about why the game has changed offensively over the last few seasons. That's why.
Well, Schultz comes in, gets 3 strikeouts. We move to the last of the 8th, 6-1. (12-13) on the year, 4 RBIs. A great starting performance tonight from Dan Straley, and he hands it over to Brad Ziegler in his 48th game this year. Never mind the 1-5 record and the 4.40 ERA. Ziegler has been so effective as of late for the last, what would you say, about 2 months or so, as C.J. Cron takes strike 1. It's Cron, Echeverria, and Bowers, with the Marlins up 6-1. Now 48 tops in the National League in terms of appearances for Ziegler. A pretty consistent run the last couple of months. Cron takes low and away, 2-1. Cron came in earlier in this ball game in the top of the 5th inning. Kiermaier left with some foot discomfort. In their original lineup, they had Matt Duffy in the lineup. He left, or he was scratched with back spasms. His replacement, Adeiny Echeverria, will hit with 1 on and nobody out in the 8th.
Well, you mentioned how good Ziegler has been. He's certainly getting it done. My goodness. 20 of his last 22 appearances scoreless. How about an ERA of .78? He is second in the National League among relievers. How about a ground ball rate? I should say ground ball percentage.
Well, there's one. Rushing to the bag is Cooper to get the out. Up to second goes Cron. Yeah, a lot of ground balls.
Yeah, good to see. And certainly ground balls mean outs. When you start talking about ground ball percentage, is what you want to see. 72.5%. That's what we're trying to get to. There you go. Two-hopper at Cooper. Nice job there. He's played first base very well tonight. I'll tell you what. He's made some nice plays defensively. Nice job there, knocking it down and getting the out at first base.
That was was off the bat at 104.4. So that got on Cooper quickly, and he was essentially even with the bag or a step in because he was holding on the runner. Not a lot of reaction time, but able to knock it down, get the out.
That's a pretty good example of where you get to act like the hockey goalie.
Right.
That's right. I told you, when you kind of get thrown in over there, you just like knock it down and run to the bag.
That's it. Just be a wall over
That's
there.
right. Just keep it in front of you.
It's like Crone talking with the second base umpire, Andy Fletcher, wondering whether or not there was a little bit of a balk or a flinch for Ziegler, but no call for the umpiring crew, and we play on. 0-2 now to Bowers. Bowers 0 for 3 tonight. A strikeout in the first and a couple of groundouts. But coming into this game was swinging one of the hotter bats in the Rays lineup, with 7 for 20 coming in over the course of his last 4 games. He had only 7 hits in the 47 at-bats prior to that. But he comes up empty there. No, he fouled it off at the plate, so it stays 1-2.
Well, just got a piece of that 77-mile-an-hour changeup. I'll tell you. A few of the relievers and a couple of the starters. Ooh, my. It's awfully dangerous. Home plate umpire just got that in the wrong spot. Good try with the slider for Ziegler. We talked about this, obviously, again tonight with Straley. The changeup and the slider being such a big part of what they do. Ziegler very much the same thing. Yeah, I know we all think sinker when he comes in, 83 miles an hour over and over and over again. And really for Ziegler, what has made him so good is the ability to throw 3 pitches for strikes.
To Cooper on the first base line. Will step on the bag for the second out of the inning, and over to third goes Crone. Now Daniel Robertson. 0 for 3 tonight, grounded into an inning-ending double play in the first. The only inning tonight in which the Rays have scored. They scored before their number 3 hitter came to the plate tonight, but since then, it's been a lot of nothing. Dan Straley terrific through 7 innings of work. Strike to Robertson.
That's been the theme, even if you go back to the Philadelphia series. Unanswered runs scored for the Marlins. They've been fantastic. 10 unanswered in game 3 of the Philly series, and 6 unanswered tonight.
Well, part of the reason why they scored the 10 unanswered runs against the Phillies was because the bullpen on Sunday, 5 scoreless and hitless innings pitched. So credit goes to Hernandez, Guerra, Conley, Meyer. Cue shot up the first baseline. Ziegler will tag Robertson, and we are through 8. We'll see Dietrich looking for his 3rd homer. 6-1. Currency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Kubota. For more information or to find a Kubota dealer near you, go to gokubota.com and by your South Florida Honda dealers. A little bit of storms in the area earlier tonight, but under the big top here at the Trop, no worry of weather as we begin the second go-around of this Citrus Series in 2018.
Schultz back out for his second inning of work. Impressive 8th inning. Struck out the side. Combination of 95 to 97 mile an hour fastballs along with a curveball that hadn't been part of his arsenal until tonight.
Misses upstairs. 2-1 to Cameron Maben. But a base hit in the 5th and then walked and scored in that 5-run 7th inning. With the hit earlier, Cameron Maben now hits in 9 of his last 12 games started. This one way up. Somehow misses some speakers and other things that hang from the ceiling here at the Trop. Falls into the glove of Crone for the first out. Time for the Coors Light refreshing finish. It's all about Derek Dietrich. Set the tone with the club down 1-0. Connected on the solo home run to tie it. And then opened things up a bit with a 3-run home run later in the ball game.
I'll tell you, it really does speak to where Dietrich's swing has been over the last few months this season. Split finger fastball, 87 miles an hour. First home run. Hits a curveball from a lefty for the second home run, and oh, by the way, had a base hit to center field against Eovaldi as well. That came on the fastball. I mean, he's got great balance, and you see that leg kick that he uses, closes up and gets it down, and again has maintained it all season long. You hear guys like Martin Prado, Dietrich talks about it an awful lot, having that daily routine of how they want to get their swing ready for each day.
Well, as you saw, it's been a while since there's been a 3-homer game for the Marlins. And Dietrich will have to work here with 2 strikes. Might just take another hit. He's got a 3-hit afternoon, or 3-hit night instead. He strikes out for the second out here in the 9th inning. But all in all, still a nice first game out of the break for Derek Dietrich. 2-way here in the 9th inning. His 3rd 3-hit game of the year. 26th multi-hit game of the year for Dietrich as Javi Guerra loosens and figures to get the 9th. Brian Anderson now takes strike 1. Now, one more note on Dietrich with the 2 home runs and the single, the 3 hits. It's his 26th multi-hit game of the year, which ties a career high. So still a little bit of time to add to it, but in 16 and 17, 26 multi-hit games. And here we are, first game out of the break with another. Working his way towards a career year, Derek Dietrich. Back to BA. He was able to hold up the ball in 2 strikes. Comes the 2-2 pitch. Back to the screen. Rays have not announced their starter for tomorrow as of yet. But we do know, At least we can assume that it will be Chris Archer on Sunday. Just able to get out of the way, thankfully, Brian Anderson.
Yeah, that's chin music. TBA. Oof. Wow. Arm side run. Oh boy, and again, Schultz. I call him sneaky quick. I'll tell you, that ball gets out of his hand in a rather quick delivery.
Well, 2 innings of work for Schultz, 5 strikeouts, but the Marlins up 5. Will take over. WB Mason Marlins Live postgame show coming up when this one concludes. Jessica Blaylock and Jeff Nelson back on the east coast of Florida. Double D letting it fly. That's right. His 12th and 13th home runs of the year. And we'll hear from Don Mattingly at the conclusion of the opener of this 3-game series. Some changes defensively as Garrett Cooper moves over to left field and Miguel Rojas over to first.
And Javi Guerra into the ball game. A nice job for the Marlins this season. This is his 5th game, working in his 7th inning. He's only allowed 2 hits, about 9 strikeouts to go along with it. Good to see. He's brought the curveball. It's been part of his arsenal this year, a little bit different than last. Maybe he's going to get more opportunity. Slow roller to the right side. JT up with it. First out here in the 9th. Guerra's been throwing the ball very, very well. It's being recalled. Fastball's been sitting in that 94-mile-an-hour range. Goes with a good slider and a curveball as well.
One out for Carlos Gomez. 1 for 2 with a walk.
Cargo.
The Marlins 2 outs away from picking up right where they left off going into the break at the time when they took 2 out of 3 in that last homestand from the Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee was a first-place team. They took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies. They were a first-place team. Rays not a first-place team, but still playing some pretty good baseball.
I'll tell you what, there were some signs early in this ball game that the Marlins might have to wake up just a little bit. We saw it as Kiermaier kind of stretched a 1st inning single into a double. I'll tell you what, Dan Straley settled things down. The defense picked it up and the offense got going. You mentioned that huge 7th inning. Turned this around for the Marlins.
Big swing by Gomez, 2-2. Can't hit a 5-run home run, right?
Well, I don't know. He's trying.
I will say this, and I say this with all due respect to Gomez. He's so entertaining. Sometimes, you know, his emotions, he wears them on his sleeve, as we saw firsthand.
Right.
He's smashing Gatorade coolers and everything else, but, you know, he is entertaining. You know that his heart is in every single swing and inning and game and everything.
Well, you are trying to understand his intensity. I mean, that's what burns inside of him. That's what actually makes him who he is. Of course, some internalize it and keep it there. Others don't, and he happens to be that type of personality. I mean, there's no doubt he's an incredibly highly motivated individual. Certainly wants to succeed every day, but that's the passion that he plays with. Sometimes it gets misunderstood.
He works the walk. Second time he's drawn a free pass in this ball game. 1-on-1 out in the ninth. Here's Joey Wendell. 0 for 3. Line over the head of Riddle and toward left center field. Gomez on his way to third. Throw goes into second.
Let's get him
A
both.
one-out double for Wendell.
Now for Wendell, his first hit of the ball game. He's going to pick on a fastball away, line it into that left center field gap. See what turf will do, even on a line drive. See what outfielders have to do. That pursuit angle much more towards the warning track than it is cutting off the baseball. Hit it hard into the gap, you almost always get a double.
He's had a few of those. 7 of his last 10 hits have gone for extra bases.
There you go.
As pitching coach Juan Nieves out to talk with Javi Guerra as Drew Steckenrider begins to loosen. A 5-run game, but certainly you don't want to give any inkling of this game getting away from you.
As I mentioned, Guerra, it's only his 5th game this season, but don't be fooled. He's pitched in 173 big league ball games. In fact, he's got 30 saves under his belt. He's got a career 2.94 ERA, so he's pitched late in the game.
Sucre right back off of Guerra, who's able to corral it, and then it pops out of his hand. Wow.
Hey, Malik, let's go.
What a strange turn of events. He kind of deflected it up, and then it slipped out of his hand. The runner at third, Gomez, kind of froze.
He can't go on the ball back to the mound. I think you're absolutely right. Let's take another look. It's a breaking ball. Knocked it off his hand, to your point. Check JT. I'm not sure he really checked the runner at home or at third. Kind of looked at JT maybe for some instruction. He's going to get an error on the play. He's probably all right with that. He gets a ground ball, though. He's still got a chance to escape this inning. In this ball game, certainly don't want to see this blow up.
Minor delay. I think the ball got loose down the left field line. All right, so the bases are loaded and 1 out for Malik Smith. Out to the mound goes JT Realmuto to talk with Guerra. Well, Smith, of course, is a pretty crucial at bat here because the power of C.J. Cron awaits on deck. Second rider continues to heat up in the Marlins bullpen, and it will be Steckenrider that will face Smith as Don Mattingly is out to take the ball from Javi Guerra. So we will step aside. The Florida Lottery call to the bullpen, 6-1, but the Rays have them loaded. Steckenrider out of the bullpen. 47th game this season. 13 holds. He has 1 save this year. It came June 16th against the Baltimore Orioles. This now a save situation with the tying run C.J. Cron on deck. Swing and a miss by Malix Smith, 0-1. Smith a single in the 3rd, a walk and a stolen base in the 5th, then he grounded out in the 7th. Runners Gomez, Wendell, and Sucre, 3rd to 1st. 0-2.
Steck's done a fantastic job this season. Got 50 strikeouts. It's 11th in the National League. Love to pick up number 51 right here. Fastball, slider change.
Let's go!
This one out to the right center field gap.
Let's go, CJ!
That's going to be trouble. And one ops the wall. Gomez, Wendell. Here comes Sucre. He'll score, and Malix Smith has cleared the bases. It's now 6-4.
Well, I'll tell you what, this was an 0-2 mistake. A pitch up, out over the plate.
Let's go!
Smith absolutely sat on it despite the 0-2 count. Drove it into that right center field gap and unloaded the bases. The tying run is in the batter's box. Don't worry about Smith. I'm worried about that guy right there.
Foul back. So Cron has been hot since the start of July. Entered the game hitting .409, 7 doubles, 3 homers, and 11 RBIs. Not an easy out. With Malix Smith at 3rd. 1-1. Those runs charged to Guerra. But at this point, that's all just bookkeeping. This game has gotten much closer with 1 swing of the bat. 5-run 7th for the Marlins opened up a 6-1 lead, but the bases clearing triple has now made it 6-4 as Adam Conley loosens in the Marlins bullpen.
Not again. No concussion again.
So Conley up. Kyle Bearclaw not with the club tonight as Cron just been jammed a little bit out to left field. Cooper underneath it. Here comes the throw home. And a sacrifice fly for Cron makes it 6-5. Again, Kyle Bearclaw not with the team tonight. He wasn't feeling well before the game, so he is back at the hotel.
Well, that's why you've seen everybody but Claw kind of either up or in this game already tonight. You're not concerned with the score at this point. Obviously, you've got the 1-run lead. All about outs. Steck looking for the last out of this inning.
There's a Danny Echeverria. Ground ball, base hit up the middle.
Left center.
The Rays still have life here with 2 outs in the 9th.
Left center. It's going to open up left center.
So Bowers due up.
Steckenrider, that fastball command just off a little bit of late. So the 0-2 mistake to Smith. First pitch fastball supposed to be on the corner. That tailed back out over home as well. Don Mattingly's going to make his way out to the mound. I think that's going to be it for Steckenrider.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting to see. And as soon as Bowers made his way to home plate, Don Mattingly made his way to the mound. So that's it for Steck. Florida Lottery call to the bullpen will bring in the lefty Adam Conley. Marlins an out away from a win. As the Rays not going quietly, down by 1 run now. It was 6-1 coming into this inning. The inning started with a ground ball, but then the Rays, showing some late life, have made it a 1-run game. Adam Conley into his 25th big league game this year. And if he can get an out before the Rays score a run, it'll be his first career save. Lefty on lefty as Jake Bowers digs in. Here comes the pitch from Conley to left field, and it will fall in front of Cooper.
Robo!
Echeverria to second.
Let's go, Robo!
And now Daniel Robertson will be the 9th Ray to come to the plate here in the 9th inning.
Now Conley's handled the righties as well as the lefties. Only 149 batting average against. One thing that we picked up on the Rays going this inning is their aggressiveness on that fastball. That first good fastball, they've really been trying to put together some swings.
There's Robertson. A little low, ball 1.
Hey, Robo, right center! Right center, Robo!
Here's the great changeup from Conley. Good equalizer against the right-handed hitters. Probably stay mostly fastball changeup against Robertson. Oh yeah. Second changeup in a row. Nice job there by Conley down in the zone. Now back-to-back changeups. You see him warming up. You see the 95, 96 miles an hour out of his hand, and he snaps off a couple of great changeups. Mess you up as a hitter. My goodness.
A ball and 2 strikes to Robertson. One misses low and in, 2-2. Conley has only finished 2 games in his career, but without a save. This would be the first. But it's 3-2. And now with 2 outs, both runners, Echeverria from second and Bowers from first, will get a head start. Echeverria the tying run. Bowers the winning run. G-Man Choi on deck. But here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Wow, what a nail biter, but it's a Marlins win. 6-5 as they hold off a late rally from the Rays. Adam Conley with a huge strikeout. The Bonefish Grill fresh catch of the day by JT Realmuto.
Squeeze it.
Yeah, absolutely. My goodness. Well, a Rays team that coming in had won 14 of 15 at home. The Marlins able to get one to open up the first series post All-Star break. A one-run win for Miami. Marlins Live post-game show with Jessica Blaylock and Jeff Nelson coming your way after the break. For Todd Hollingsworth and our crew, I'm Paul Severino. Thanks for watching. Marlins Live coming up.